A dictator whose economic policies are so terrible that he's being roundly rejected by his own voters as he heads into a midterm? I'm not talking about Donald Trump, but I am talking about somebody that Donald Trump is using our taxpayer dollars to prop up. Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. Looks like Donald Trump's going to be pouring hundreds of millions, if not billions, of U.S. taxpayer dollars, your and my hard-earned U.S. capital, into Argentina to prop it up. Not because Argentina is an important trading partner to us, but because Donald Trump needs more friends. He needs to buy more friends and have more dictators in a geopolitical ring in Latin America. And it starts with the little baby Trumper, Javier Milei, the guy that comes to state dinners and campaigns for Donald Trump. But he's lost every election, special election that matters leading into his midterms in October. He's already taken $20 billion from the International Monetary Fund. But now, not only Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has effectively stopped the stampede of U.S. dollars being taken out of Argentina as people sell off his assets by making one statement that the American government is going to use interventionist means. We may take over Argentina, in other words, at least financially. That led the markets to prop up the failing Argentinian peso. Failing because of Javier Milei's failed economic policy. But all Donald Trump sees is another dictator. Birds of a feather stick together. He's already blown his relationship with Brazil. And now the voters of Argentina are rejecting his little Trump clone, and Donald Trump wants to intervene. In fact, at the UN, just today, during the General Assembly meeting, he pulled Milei aside and put his metaphorical arm around him and said, "We're going to support you. We're going to support another dictator who's been rejected by the Argentinian people, whose failing economy matches Donald Trump's own." I'm Michael Popok. You're on the Midas Touch Network. Let's get to what our reporting's all about. Donald Trump was in New York today, several blocks from a building that I had my law firm in the UN neighborhood in New York, to address the General Assembly for an hour and a half of a rambling speech where he decided to attack many of the Democratic allies that were in the room, said that their countries are corrupt and bankrupt and failing, and only he has the cure. Of course, making a pitch for him to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Again, buried in there was him picking out Milei, who had traveled to New York to meet with the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Donald Trump, again to signal to the world that we are going to intervene. We have not pumped money into another country with a major bailout loan since Mexico in the 1980s, and for good reason. Now we're considering doing it again. Billions of dollars, because Donald Trump happens to like the dictator down in Argentina. No other strategic or proper reason for us to do that. That government should fall. The democracy of Argentina should take over. Whoever that they choose should get in, and they should change the economic policies, much the way we hope to do come the midterms. Let me play you for a minute a clip from Scott Bessent. This statement alone halted the stampede on the Argentinian assets, stopped the sell-off, and had the peso rise almost 8%. It had been falling for the last, since August. It's been falling off a cliff, the local currency there. And then the slide automatically, magically stopped when Scott Bessent, our Treasury Secretary, posted to his X account the following: Argentina is a systemically important U.S. ally in Latin America, and the Treasury stands ready to do what is needed within its mandate to support Argentina. All options for stabilization are on the table. All right, now, that's not good enough. Let's talk about what Donald Trump is trying to do. It is not because Argentina, and I've been to Argentina, and I love Argentinian people. I have a lot of friends here in Miami that are from Argentina. However, from a trading platform standpoint, Mexico, much more important. Canada is infinitely more important than Argentina. Argentina has had its own economic problems for decades. I mean, it seems like every couple of years we talk about the failure of the Argentinian economy. Oh, there's certain things that we can do to help. There's certain things that we should not be trying to bail out. Especially a president who campaigned and got elected on America First. Why are we pumping billions and billions of dollars into Javier Milei, a failed dictator, if for no other reason than to give Donald Trump a friend in Latin America? This is more geopolitical than it is economic. It doesn't really make much economic sense from a U.S. export or import standpoint. It's just sending money that will likely never get back, especially with the Milei government should it continue. And if it fails, I mean, so be it. I mean, again, we're intervening in the sovereignty of another country, just like they did in Brazil, when the same duo of Donald Trump and his Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went after and tariffed Brazil 50% because they didn't like the fact that they've prosecuted and now convicted Bolsonaro, the other Trump in the jungle, the Trump in Brazil, who was convicted overwhelmingly of participating and leading a coup to try to overthrow the peaceful transfer of power after he lost the election to President Lula. He's looking at 27 years in jail. Donald Trump didn't like that, wanted to intervene in the sovereignty of Brazil. So he had the Treasury Secretary, the Commerce Secretary, pump up the tariffs of 50% on Brazil, and then the Treasury Secretary literally went after the lead judge in the case, although there were 7 judges, went after the lead judge in the case and sanctioned him from the Treasury Department personally, including his bank accounts and his ability to travel. So that's what we're watching. That's why I wanted to point it out. This is just geopolitical. So we've got the scene here of Donald Trump and Milei at the UN today, where the Milei had traveled in order to, bend the ear of Donald Trump and dissent while Donald Trump was in New York for the General Assembly of the United Nations. Here's a clip. Well, thank you very much.